I think some perceptions about mental health services have been altered somewhat in the last year or so. However, when we talk about African Americans, I would just quote a statistic that only 6% of African Americans have gotten vaccinated. So that talks about the health side. And it relates also to mental health issues. There seems to be a shift in governmental and local agencies regarding African Americans and people of color. I think there's more awareness now to recognize the need for culturally sensitive mental health providers. So I think that's one of the issues. So when we talk about perception of those who've been excluded, there's also a perception by those who provide services that there's a need to be more culturally sensitive in providing these services. There's also been a shift in terms of, I think, a massive PR program in terms of lessening the stigma about receiving help when there are mental health issues. Again, there's certainly the issue of not enough mental health professionals who represent the populations that need to be served. The other concern is that a lot of the governmental and local agencies are funded through Medicare and Medicaid and aren't able to attract enough professionals of color who can deal with the very low salary. So that has an impact on those people who need to be served, because inherently a large portion of African Americans and people of color tend to need those services. So we need to be able to do that and offer mental health professionals of color more competitive salaries so they can get into administrative decision making and higher paying positions that exist within the mental health field. The other thing is that some African Americans and other mental health professionals of color have had problems getting approved for insurance panels for those who do have insurance. So these perceptions about availability for people of color, particularly African Americans, is that there aren't people there who understand who I am. And I think all of us can relate to that. When we walk in the room, we want sensitivity, but we want someone who can understand who we are without having to do a cultural explanation. So I think those are some of the things that are really important. The shift on both sides in terms of perception, the shift in terms of providing more support for mental health professionals to be in these roles is very important. And again, I think in Bergen County, I think we're a little exception to the rule, but when we go to other counties where there's less of a population of people of color, there is even more challenges in terms of the perceptions by mental health professionals and doctors in terms of how they provide services. So I think the shift perception on both sides is important to be able to make a difference.